Chapter 27, Soccer. Soccer, just like basketball, should be taught during the intermediate grades once the students have mastered the basic prerequisite skills. You want to make sure you teach the basic rules, the beginning strategies for soccer, and then always have a proper progression. Soccer is one of the most popular sports for our youth, and it's definitely growing in popularity. I want you to know the effective soccer instruction should stress position play, not having a bunch of children just chasing a ball. Position play. So, in order to improve their playing ability, you have to have organized practices that involves handling the ball as often as possible. So, individual skills definitely have to be worked on, and that will be helpful to coordinate the team play. What are some modifications that we can do with soccer with our youngsters? The regulation soccer ball is too large and heavy for the little ones who are just learning the sports. Some of the students may avoid contact with the official regulation side ball because they are going to be afraid of getting injured or hurt. So, what's some options? We can use smaller soccer balls. We can even use beach balls, and that's awesome for teaching beginning skills because the beach balls move slowly and they won't hurt the student and they won't be fearful of the beach ball. You can have fewer players per team in a game or the activity that you're playing. You can make the playing area a smaller size to help them practice and make contact with the ball. You can change the size of the goal. Instead of having the regulation width of where your cones are placed, you can shrink the size down. Just depends on the skill that you want to emphasize, like if it's shooting. And you can include more than one ball to increase activity. We have some activities, lead up games where you have mini ball soccer, MANY. There's a bunch of balls. So that encourages team play and more students participating. On page 647, table 27.1, it shows the emphasis and the sequence that you want to do for developmental levels 2 and 3. So we see here they definitely need the basic skills in developmental level 2, grades 3 and 4. They need to learn how to dribble, they need to learn how to trap, and they need to learn how to pass. And then you want them to have drills for skill practice. You can have one ball for every two players or one for every player if you're fortunate. But the first column, developmental level 2, talks about inside of the foot pass, long pass, foot trap, goalkeeping, defensive maneuvers, soccer rules. And then they list the 4 activities that would be good to play for developmental level 2. For development level 3, this is where you find that the students are going to manipulate the ball with other body parts, not just the foot, and that can be introduced here. 2 to 5 students per team. It doesn't have to be the regulation team of 11. You definitely want to teach goalkeeping or catching. Now they're learning how to stop somebody from scoring, shooting, tackling, heading, and jockeying. And you want team play as well as position play, and you definitely want to incorporate the rules. These are the offensive skills that you would want to work on with your students, and I'm going to go into greater detail about these shortly. Here is your defensive skills, how to stop the team from scoring, and also I'll be going over these shortly. Dribbling is an offensive skill. We dribble with our hands in basketball. We dribble with our feet in soccer. And you can use all the different parts of your foot, inside, outside the foot, to dribble. So basically, when you're dribbling, you're going to do a series of taps or pushes to cover the ground while you're still retaining control of the ball. So you don't want the ball going too far in front of you. Okay, the best contact is the inner side of the foot, but you can also use the outside of the foot. as you're running faster. So these are the instructional cues I want you to know. You want to keep your head up. You want to be able to see the field to know in case you want to pass to somebody. Number two, you want to move on the balls of your feet where your toes are. You don't want to run on your heels because that's for slow runners, people who run the mile or marathons and such. If you want to be fast, you run on the balls of your feet. Here, they talk about making contact with the ball with the inside, outside, or the instep of your foot. Okay? And again, this is where they're saying keep the ball near your body so you can control it. You don't want to kick it too far in front of your body because the other team or somebody, may be able to get the ball. And you want to dribble the ball with a controlled tap, not a forceful kick. It's not a kick. Dribbling is tapping the ball. Passing is another offensive skill. And when you're working on passing, it's all about your balance and it's all about the timing in order to get an accurate pass to somebody else. So we use passing to advance the ball to a teammate or maybe to shoot in a goal. Here's some of the instructional cues. The non-kicking foot should be alongside the ball. Keep your head down. Eyes focus on the ball during contact. Spread your arms out for balance. Follow through with the kicking leg, which means after you make contact with the ball, continue on with your kicking leg. Make contact with the outside or the inside of the foot rather than the toe. You never want to kick a soccer ball with your toe. You might break your toe. Practice kicking with both the left and the right feet. So here we have the inside the foot pass, the little picture here of the little girl. What I want you to know is the inside the foot pass is used for accurate passing for distances up to 15 yards. Up to 15 yards. You also have the outside the foot pass, which some people call it the flick pass, because it's more to the side of the ball than it is with the inside the foot kick. And then we have the long pass, or some people call it the shoelace kick. So I want you to know this is the power pass. This is the power pass. Remember when you played kickball in elementary and you would rear back your foot and try and kick that ball with the shoelaces on the top of your foot? That's what we're talking about here. So I want you to know, rather than the top of the foot, which is the shoelace area, beginners often use the toes when making this pass. But, as I said before, when they kick with the toe, that can cause injury or an inaccurate kick. You do not want to play soccer. You don't want to ever kick the ball with your toe in soccer. What is trapping? Trapping is all about ball control. I want you to know learning how to receive the ball. If the ball's coming your way, how are you going to stop it and get it under control so you can either pass it or take a shot or whatever? So I want you to know one of the best measures to determine if this person is a skilled soccer player is to see just how quickly can they bring that ball under control. They might use their feet, they might use their legs, they might use their torso. Okay, so how quickly do they get that ball under control? You can present a large surface area of the body to the ball, like your torso, your head, or whatever. So on contact, you want to quickly withdraw to decelerate the ball. You want to slow the ball down. It's coming to you fast. And then allow it to drop in front of your body, okay, which make it ideal for you to pass or take a shot. So what are the types? We have inside the foot, we have the chest and the thigh. So I want you to know that inside of the foot is the most common of how you stop the ball when it's coming to you to control the ball. You can also use your chest or your thigh to stop the ball. And then for the sole of the foot, I want you to know the beginners, this is very unsuccessful for them to use the sole of the foot. You really want to use the inside of the foot trap for the beginners when they're just learning how to play soccer. Later on, as they advance, yes, you could use the sole of the foot. This is an example of a chest trap where you want to get in line with the path of the ball and you want to reach it to where the ball comes into contact with your chest. You want to stay, again, on the balls of your feet. Notice his heels are not touching the ground. And you always keep your eyes on the ball. This is an example of a chest trap, how to get the ball under control. As I said earlier, these are the types of trapping. And I said I want you to know that the inside of the foot trap is the most common that is used. And it's a good way to use it because it's more successful. We saw the chest and thigh trap on the previous slide. And then we know about the sole of the foot trap, that we do not want to use that as often because the beginners are not successful with it. They're more successful with the inside of the foot trap. So we want to know that about the sole of the foot. To teach them the inside of the foot trap first, and then you could progress to the sole of the foot trap. Some other skills in soccer, heading, but if you want to attempt heading in PE, you definitely want to use a beach ball and make sure they keep their mouth shut because they have a tendency to open their mouth wide when they use their neck. Make sure the eyes are on the ball until the impact. The contact should be at the top of the head, at the hairline, and then they want to push. They want to drive the forehead into the ball. What are some defensive maneuvers that I want you to know? You need to know the term tackling. When you're taking the dribble away from the opponent, you're taking the soccer ball away from the opponent who is dribbling. So I want you to know the stronger the ball contact is, the better the chance is of controlling it. The stronger the contact you make with the ball, the better the chance is you're going to get control of it. And there's also a thing called a front block, where you contact the ball with the inside of the foot just as the opponent touches it. So that's from the front. Another skill is called jockeying, where you maneuver to avoid a failed tackle. Basically, you're backing off. You're backing off away from the opponent, but you're going to stay close enough to them to put pressure on them as they are advancing. Another is shooting. We definitely want to know how to score a goal in soccer, and how can we do it? We can use the inside of the foot to make that kick into the goal to shoot. We can use the outside of the foot or the top of the foot. We talked about the shoelace kick. And like a pass, but when the driving action, it's a driving action instead of just a loft. You're trying to get it in the goal. Another skill that's important to soccer is the throw-in. The throw-in is the only time any field players that are not the goalies can actually handle the ball with their hands. So I want you to know these 6 rules as far as how to throw the ball in. Both hands must be on the ball. The ball must be released from over the thrower's head. The thrower must face the field. The thrower cannot step onto the field until after the throw-in has occurred. This is what's difficult. Both feet must be in contact with the ground until the ball is released. Both feet. So sometimes you'll see them drag that back foot, and that's why, because both feet have to be in contact with the ground until the ball is released. The thrower cannot play the ball until another player on the field touches it. The thrower cannot play the ball until another player on the field touches it. So know these 6 rules about throw-in. Goalkeeping is another skill that all should practice. Everyone should practice goalkeeping. So you learn how to block shots by catching it or stopping it or deflecting it. They can practice low rolling balls like a baseball outfielder. Thumbs are out. Pinkies together when catching below the waist, just like in softball. Thumbs together for catching above the waist. So when you dive for the ball, throw the body behind it and cradle it into your hands. I definitely wouldn't suggest that for elementary. Punting is also for goalkeepers, where they can do it stationary, just standing in place, or they can be running and punt. The ball is held in both hands about waist high in front of the body, and they kick it similar to what pun is in football. On page 652, they talk about instructional procedures. So this is kind of like a guideline on how to teach soccer. So the first one talks about when you're practicing, you want to emphasize to them how to control the ball and how to pass. So you're going to have drills, you're going to have activities where they're going to do all kind of controlling the ball and passing. You want to have at least one ball for every 2 students. Then you want to have combination drills where you're going to have offense and defense, okay? You want to have the kids to have fun. So you want them to continue to learn. So you're going to use drills, you're going to use lead-up activities to make the skills challenging. Number 3, you want to use small group games, 2 to 5 players, okay? Number 4, you want to have lead-up games where you're not playing a full game of soccer 11 against 11. You have all these different lead-up games that are in our chapter. Look at number 5. I want you to know the grid system is useful when organizing drills and activities and small size games. What are they talking about here? They have figure 27.6 in your book, where over a 50-yard period, 50 by 20, 10 yards, 50 yards by 10 yards, you have your little system here. And they show the grid in order to figure out and have your cones to mark it off and the squares and such so that the students can do a bunch of drills. Next slide is. We've already talked about using balls that are smaller and lighter to help them practice. And you also want them, you want to make sure you control the rough play. And as they get up to 4th and 5th grade, they're going to get rougher in playing, especially if you're out on a soccer field, and make sure you enforce any contact rules. And then you could modify your scoring to make it more enjoyable for the students. So when you're doing your soccer drills, I want you to know there's 2 types. The first type is where the players or students are going to practice without opposition, without defense on them. And they're going to dribble the soccer ball or pass the soccer ball, and there's nobody on defense on them. Then the other type of soccer drill is where they're going to practice the skills in a drill, but they're going to have a defensive person against them. Okay, so those are your 2 different types of drills. In your book, they talk about the individual work, and they specify how dribbling practice is best done individually, and they go on to talk about all the other drills or skills. Then you have drills for 2 players. Many of the introductory drills are best with a partner, and we already talked about the grid system, and they show it again as a way to organize your partner drills. Then drills for 3 players, which is in our activity outline with all the nice diagrams, and then drills for 4 or more players. So we're continually practicing dribbling, passing, guarding, stopping, tackling, and such. It might be with 2 players, it might be with 3 players, it might be with 4 players. On page 658, they talk about some basic rules for soccer. So you need to understand that the players cannot deliberately handle the ball with their hands or arms. The only person that can do it is the goalkeepers, okay, within their designated area. So if you're not playing a regulation soccer game, you may not even have goalkeepers, okay? When the ball is in the goalkeeper's hands, the opponents cannot charge him or her. They have to let him be to get the punt off or kick off. And then there's all kind of serious fouls where somebody may trip or kick a player or push them, and that will result in a free kick. When the ball goes out of play, the team that last touched the ball or sent it out of bounds, they're going to lose possession, and the other team's going to get possession of the ball. What are the activities in this chapter for developmental level 2? You have your circle, kick, ball. So notice these are lead-up activities. There's no true game, okay, where you're actually playing the soccer regulation game. These are lead-up activities. And these are for grades 3 and 4, circle, kickball, diagonal, dribble-rama, and bullseye. For developmental level 3, your 5th grade, you have mini ball soccer, where it may be a similar game of soccer, but you have a lot of balls on there. Sideline soccer, lane, line, 6-spot, keep away. Again, these are some more lead up games or lead up activities for the students to learn how to play soccer. And then to conclude in this chapter, we have soccer skills tests that they have, passing against the wall about 5 to 10 yards away from the wall, figure eight dribbling, the cones are 4 yards apart. And then there's a skills test for controlling or punting and place kicking, penalty kicking. So what are some takeaways we have about soccer? When you having the students learn soccer, you want to make sure you implement appropriate formations. You want to have the proper progressions, individual to partner to groups, and you want to do some coaching techniques. You want to maintain safety, a safe environment all the time. And here's where they talk about the lead-up games and drills to help the students practice the different offensive and defensive skills. And then you have a variety of soccer-related skills. So a little review and reflection. What modifications could you make to soccer in order for the students to be successful when you're practicing dribbling? How would you set up the activity area to make sure all the students are engaged the majority or the maximum amount of time and they all are practicing? And where would your emphasis be on development level 2 or development level 3? And which lead-up games or drills that the book outlines would you include in your lesson for fifth graders? And why? This concludes Chapter 27 on soccer.